Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Trek Central Live for the week being... Oh, hello, we saw cameras. Hello, everyone. How are we doing? Right, I just swapped to you all of a sudden there. That was really weird. Good start as per usual. Trek lad, how you doing this evening?
Oh, yes. I'm back. They
You
got
are?
me back by unpopular demand. I'm not sure, but it's Sunday. The church is open. We're going to talk about Star Trek and Dom's back.
Yes, I'm back by popular demand.
True, it's true. Every week
yeah,
I've been mailing in
finally
going,
back.
Dom, please return to us.
Yeah, finally back, feeling better, and ready to talk about some Trek.
Our audio listeners are going to appreciate it as they can hear you. Our visual listeners have just got the lovely Lower Decks version of Dom on their screens
Yes.
right now. And what a
Still not
lovely
100%.
picture it is. I mean, you have got that beanie on your way to you very soon. So again, if Royal Mail managed to deliver it, you know, I did send it by Hermes, so there's at least a 50% chance it'll get there.
Yeah, can't wait to wear that.
Which got in 2 pieces if I sent
Brand.
them.
Can't wait to find it in the back garden
There,
under the bush.
there goes our sponsorship with Hermes. Delivered exactly. Chat, how are we doing this evening? Don't forget, you can support the channel here by hitting the like button. You can, of course, super chat or become a YouTube member if you so do please. You probably saw the emotes I put in the chat there a minute ago. They're fantastic. We're getting some more soon as we head towards Star Trek Prodigy and also Lower Deck Season 2 and, of course, Discovery Season 4. Wow, that's a lot of Trek content on the way. Today, though, we're going to be discussing the Star Trek universe and how it might cross over with new series and stuff like that. It'll be very interesting. We sort of touched on this discussion in previous episodes we've done here on YouTube before and also our podcast format, and it's going to be really interesting as I think we're all like burning away with many theories we have on the Star Trek multiverse and how things might be crossing over, especially recently with comments by Alex Kurtzman himself, the sort of head honcho of Star Trek, and how the lines between TV and movie universes are sort of like crossed now, where it's like they're blurred, they're all in one in a way, where it's like the Star Trek universe is a universe. Like it doesn't matter whether it's on TV or on film, and say it's all one big thing. So potential for a new crossover, methinks. Could be. It could be. That's what we're discussing tonight. But gents, how are we doing tonight? Trek, how's your week been? You been up to much? Any Star Trek related things?
Yeah, it's been obviously busy as always in the Star Trek world, especially right now because we got a gajillion shows and movies on the way. So exciting times to be a fan. It's been an exciting time to be me. I'm not sure if you can see it in the background, but I just got a new chair. It's very dark in here.
Yeah,
but
I
you
can
can't
barely see it.
It's a converted barber's chair that's been turned into like a TOS classic captain's chair. So that's going to replace this one. And yeah, really exciting. I'm going to finally have a seat fit for a forever ensign. So that came today. So super exciting. But yeah, just working on some videos, some podcasts, finally kind of sorted my life out with the podcast. So all things good there. But obviously with the news that's been spilling out with regards to this whole movie and the multiverse stuff, I mean, I've been looking forward to this chat for a few days now. So really excited to get into it.
It's going to be exciting. I'm seeing a few questions in the chat there about the Lower Decks avatar. We actually had these done by an artist. It's on our Twitter. We had this done for Lower Decks Season 1 last year, which is in August now. Yeah, how time flies. It's literally almost been here. Oh my god. But we're probably going to do like newer versions of these again as we go for Season 2. I think one of Trek Lad done. You're going to have one made, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of feel like I get off on a technicality because my usual avatar is like the old 80s style cartoon. But I did say, you know, turn me to an Lower Decks character at some point, and she's not got around to it yet. But yeah, if somebody wants to Lower Decks me up, then you know, I have to be an ensign though. That's the deal.
Ain't no admirals on this ship. I'm one in charge. I see a few comments about Ketwolski. He's currently MIA. Currently, he's all perfectly fine, but he's taking some time away from YouTube, etc. As personal life, as I'm sure all of you know, is rather hectic. But hopefully, he'll be back with us soon. Like I said, it's an extended vacation in a way, leave of absence, one could say.
Which we all need.
Yes, we. Oh my god. I was thinking about this, and it's like it won't be long before we're actually talking about like more Star Trek related stuff. Like for me, like next month is going to be super busy because I cover Star Wars stuff as well. So we got a brand new series of Bad Batch starting on May 4th, and then I think it will only be a matter of time until Prodigy kicks off. then straight into Lower Decks, straight into Discovery Season 4. Boy, oh boy, is it going to be a busy end of the year.
Hectic, yeah.
But let me ask you a question, guys, and this question's extended to everybody in the chat as well. With all of the Star Trek that's coming, with all the Star Wars that's coming, with all of the exciting developments in the MCU, and with probably so many more original concepts coming as well, the new Battlestar Galactica show that's still in development. I mean, it's not a bad time to be alive.
It's perfect. Like right now is a perfect time to be like a sci-fi fan. You've got The Expanse, Battlestar's making a return. There's word Stargate is apparently making a return as well as the original guys making some new scripts. Star Trek is booming. Star Wars is making millions, if not billions, of dollars, despite sources saying everything's failing. Haha. No, but literally everything's doing so well. So if you're not a sci-fi fan, the hell are you doing? Get into it. I'm guaranteed there's a show out there for you right now you'll enjoy, whether it's a subsection of Star Trek or Star Wars or The Expanse or something like that. You'll love it. If not, just go back and watch the classics. I've recently been rewatching Stargate SG-1 as well as Battlestar Galactica, the reimagined series. That Battlestar Galactica, pinnacle of sci-fi evolution on TV, I think. Honestly, beautiful. Music as well. Ben McCreary should have won millions of awards. I think he only won a few for it, but Matt Mann should have won whatever it is, the music awards in the UK.
It upsets me on a daily basis that stuff isn't on Spotify. It is music made by the gods.
Some of the themes to it, like I quite like the theme Reuniting the Fleet. I listen to that one on YouTube quite a lot. It's such a beautiful track. Oh, speaking of music, by the way, the Starship Discovery Season 3 OST is out now on Spotify and all other platforms, I believe. So you can go and pick that up. Obviously it's free to not free to play, it's free to listen to on Spotify and several platforms. You can purchase it on iTunes. I'm not sure if they're doing physical versions just yet, but they did do a physical sort of record collector's edition for Picard. They might do one for Discovery, so yeah, I'll leave that one up to people to guess.
All 40 tracks.
No,
40 tracks. Insane. My goodness. And I will say this, I've been a bit outspoken on my views on Jeffrey Russo. I don't think his music's the best I've ever heard in a Star Trek production. However, listening back to the recent season 3 stuff, I think it's his best work to date. And I think it's the stuff that works best in isolation as well, because sometimes you get a score and it doesn't work well on its own. I got that with the previous stuff with Discovery. I got that with Picard. Some tracks worked well in isolation, but only a few. But this one works really well, and I've got a lot of work done listening to that over the last couple of days. 40 tracks!
There really are some good tracks in that score. Especially, I would have to say, like, the Andorian Opera. New Trek has done really well with showing us a universe of music that isn't just, 18th century Earth opera or whatever. So it's been really good.
Just need Klingon opera next.
Just need some Klingon opera.
Get Michael Dorn to sing it as well. Get him back just to that. It's a short trek, just 15 minutes of pure, unedited Klingon opera.
The Klingon opera, I think we got in one of the Grilka episodes in DS9 with Michael Dorn singing.
Oh yeah.
It's horrible, but it's amazing.
Take my money.
Yeah.
Now that's what I call Klingon on 2 great discs. That'd be hilarious. Speaking of which, by the way, speaking of 2 great discs, Season 3 of Star Trek Discovery is also going to be releasing on Steelbook and DVD, Blu-ray, etc. All that fine jazz on July 20th, 2021. This is for US only right now. No words on international release date or anything about Steelbook just yet. It did appear online and we sort of like going, hey, look at this. So yeah, you can go look at it on Twitter for details, etc. It is available on Amazon to pre-order, I believe. It might be able to be pre-ordered, if not just yet. You can find it around anywhere, etc. We'll put it on our website when it's available so you can pick it up there for those big. The Steelbook looks really nice. Like that, I don't usually collect physical media anymore because just why would I? But it looks beautiful, honestly.
It does look beautiful, but I will say that.
Go on, critique it. Go on.
Oh no, the season 1 and season 2 Steelbooks worked really well together because it had the Delta, but it had a different effect with it. With season 1 being, I think, Burnham's Eye, and then season 2 being the Red Angel. So I would have liked if season 3 was the Starfleet Delta, but something interesting for the future. It's still beautiful, but
could have been the Federation symbol.
If there was some follow through, because I liked when you collect these things and it has some consistency to the design. But it's still beautiful. Don't get me wrong. But yeah.
Did we see in the week, by the way, I'm not sure if you caught this as well, it appears some lucky passerby spotted Sir Patrick Stewart filming the Starship Picard Season 2 with Alex DeLille, or however you pronounce his name. Dom, how do you pronounce it?
Alex Dale?
We'll go with that. Yeah.
We'll go with that. Yeah.
I was literally about to bring this up because I'm on Trek Central on Instagram, by the way, instagram.com/Trek Central. Follow for images. I just saw it on the feed and I was like, I actually had not seen this. And that's a very interesting uniform.
It is, isn't it?
I
love the
it's
boots.
not the mirror universe like someone mentioned in the comments. I really hope
I don't
it's not
think,
the mirror.
personally, if I got my 10 cents, and I'm sure Don will give his in a minute as well, I think it's another one of Q's, look what could have happened, a bit like how Tapestry went down, which is obviously Tapestry is one of a really highly regarded episodes of TNG of all time, if not the sort of pinnacle Q episode as well. I reckon it's another alternate look of how things might have gone down. So yeah, Don, what do you think though?
So I think that's really interesting, looking at the alternate look. But I would like it if it shows the after effects of what happens now that we've lifted the synth ban from season 1, because it shows some follow through of the plot lines, which I would love to see. But the point of it being an alternate look of what would happen if the Romulan relief effort did go according to plan, what would have happened to the Federation, what would have happened to Picard, because he wouldn't have retired as Admiral. These what ifs are really interesting and something which Q has done before, as you said. So yeah.
It's really interesting. Guys, do you reckon I don't know, I mean, they're probably not going to have the whole season be this, but could you imagine if we got season 2 of Picard is entirely the what if series that Marvel are currently developing? What if Q in every episode shows Picard what could have happened if Picard followed this branch of his life instead of taking the right step, he went left for every key decision that he made in his life? I don't think we're going to get that, but
it would be an interesting way to take things. Yeah, it depends, because I think season 2 is going to be vastly different than season 1, because it's got a different showrunner. So naturally, it's like if you put a different chef in charge of a kitchen, it's going to taste a little bit different than it did before in a way. If you ask them to make the same food, it's still going to make slightly different because it's a different person making it. We all have our own creative ways of doing the same thing. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, I've been working on them lately. I've made it up.
Did you hear? I mean, one thing that I did hear that I'm not entirely too sure if I'm 100% on board with is they did mention that they're probably going to be retooling John Delancey's Q to make him less cartoonish. And I mean, again, the sources aren't completely known and accurate, and obviously, we've got a problem with that in today's media. But I don't like the idea that I feel like introducing something like Q can add some humor to Picard, which I think really needed it last season, and the idea that we're going to get Q this season just fills me with hope that we could have a bit more of a multi-textured show.
One of my favorite all-time Q funny moments is when he beams them onto the bridge of the Enterprise with the mariachi band. And it's like, I'm back, and the band just starts playing. You just got Riker and Picard staring, going, "What the absolute are you doing?"
Can you imagine though if we get John Delancey's Q kind of just finger click in, and he's just sat there drinking with long hair, kind of going, "I hate being omnipotent." I don't want to see that.
Yeah,
I don't want to see that. I want Q to bring some joy back to Picard's life, or
I agree.
Our lives, but not Picard's life, because
No, we're part of a show now. You just got us three doing a podcast in the corner while Picard's having a chat with Q. Do you mind? Keep it down.
Make it happen. Make it so.
Make it so. Engage, yeah. I'm sure we got plenty of Picard things out in the meantime. For those wondering about seeing the image, by the way, you can go over to @TrekCentral on Twitter, also @TrekCentral on Instagram. We posted it there. It is thanks to a podcast called And a Die Podcast. So they were the one who snapped the picture, and we reposted, etc. So big credit to them for actually scooping it in the first place. Really nice of them. Yeah, go check it out. Hopefully we get more pictures as things is filming. We are going to see here and there. It's just the nature of filming and how it goes. I know some people are commenting on oh, it's a leak in a way. Personally, and I'll be honest with you, when it comes to reporting on TC, if it's out in the open, if I can look at my window and see it, it's not really a leak. If it's leaked off the actual indoor film set, that's a leak, and we wouldn't really want to post that. But yeah, literally, it's people just stood back. So Patrick stood on the stairs having a chat.
He stood in the street.
It's like me wandering by and seeing Star Wars film, there's been leaks of that recently. It's it's take it as you will,
Do people get really that upset about this?
Somebody was very upset that we shared. It's like, I don't share leaking stuff. It's like, others do, so.
Welcome to the internet.
Speaking of which, before we go into our big topic of crossover today, and speaking of alternate universe, etc., someone commented on one of our videos earlier going, it was about what an Enterprise season 5, like what would have happened, the storylines that could have been explored. So one of them was like Archer being a future guy, the mysterious guy who kept appearing occasionally to advise the Suliban and Cabal, essentially, in Silic. So someone theorized, like, what if Archer warned the Romulans to avert the Romulan war, that their planet was going to explode in 200 years? And it was like, this would like completely change the timeline and it would raise Discovery. I'm like, yeah. By changing that, it probably also would have raised the Next Generation, DS9 and Voyager, because even though the Romulans are absent for a period of time, they're still up to a lot of stuff which influences certain events.
That's actually a really fascinating
If the Romulan War also didn't happen, it probably also wouldn't have formed a Federation, I'm going to predict, because the Earth Alliance, and when you read the books, or the Coalition essentially, fought really hard tooth and nail to defend off against the Romulan War. But what do you gents think about that? Sort of, that is like a what-if, situation there.
Well, it's kind of like, I mean, it could go the other way. I mean, if Archer had reached out to the Romulan Empire and the Romulan Empire wasn't just full of people that are super, the word isn't coming to me.
Arseholes?
Arseholes, yeah, use that word, arseholes. Because they're not interested in being friends with humanity at that stage, regardless of the intentions, regardless of the news. They're incredibly suspicious. If Archer comes along and says,
hello,
there's a star that's going to go supernova, you should listen to me because I've been told by Future Man, they're probably going to go, piss off.
What are you on?
It's a fake. It's a fake.
It's a fake.
But let's say for a second, let's just think for a second and mind game this, that they do listen. And that, to me, could potentially wipe out, but it could create a stronger federation where the Romulan Star Empire comes into it early, or comes into it just centuries and centuries before it even potentially happens. But for me, people kind of going, oh, that would wipe that out. Well, I mean, if you subscribe to the multiverse theory, it doesn't get wiped out, does it?
The multiverse theory. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Yeah.
What do you think, Dom?
I mean, I think all these what ifs are very interesting, and I have to shill for the book Dead Endless by David Galanter, I believe, which was what if the battle at the binaries didn't happen? What if it was just called the standoff at the binaries because it didn't happen, cooler heads prevailed, and they just left each other alone? It's definitely interesting, and I think it can be looked at, but it's how future stories look at these what-ifs and link it into the narrative.
See, I think for me, and I know I'm probably in the minority of people here, and I know that I've got a bookshelf full of books that I've not read, and I know everybody laughs at me.
How's Star Trek Destiny going?
I've not even read the first bloody sentence, all right, guys? I'm sorry. I've been making videos and podcasts.
There's a hangout button around here.
I'll read the first paragraph. I'll read the first chapter this
week. Shall I put on like a log file in the background? We'll sit back with some whiskey and just read it to us,
I promise.
Trek Central presents an evening of Trek Lad reading Star Trek Destiny in HD.
That sounds very sultry. I will read the first chapter at least this week, okay? I promise. But the thing is, all these books that we've got, I don't like the fact that they're considered non-canon, because people have gone and they've put a lot of effort in, they've researched it. There's a lot of effort and a lot of love that goes into those books, and to just kind of wipe them out and say that they're not canon, I don't know. It just doesn't sit well with me. For me, anything that gets created is something that could realistically exist within a universe. So I do subscribe to the idea that, I mean, this is just what I subscribe to.
Yeah.
If you subscribe to something else, I mean, at the end of the day, we all make our own canon. That's another thing that I think. But I think everything that has a Star Trek on it is canon. But it all exists within a multiverse where you can pick and choose.
It's all in separate continuities and separate timelines.
Exactly, bubble universes and stuff.
They're still canon. It's just whether it relates to a certain series or not, and whether it's in that timeline. Because we already have in live action stuff, we have the Kelvin timeline and then we have the Prime timeline.
Yeah.
So then just viewing like, these books are in this Litverse timeline, and just looking at it like that really expands the horizon of Trek you can consume. And there's some really good Trek in the books, in some of the video games. All this stuff is there for people, but they isolate it by what they view as canon. Oh, I can't read this book because it doesn't relate to this series. It's still good. And if you only consume it because of, it links into this series, then I think you're viewing it in a way that ultimately limits what Trek you consume.
I feel like we all get so hung up on what isn't canon. And one of the things that I've been really enjoying recently, doing research for my own stuff and doing research for these wonderful chats, is not just going to Memory Alpha, which is considered like the main canon, but by expanding on some topics. by expanding on some of those subjects, by going to Memory Beta and kind of reading about what may have been included in some books. And it's amazing what some of these authors and some of these people have done over the years, fleshing out the universe. And I feel like, okay, we didn't see it on screen, but if you've read those books and you enjoyed those books, and I know a lot of people, and the reason why I ended up buying the Destiny trilogy was because so many people here went, that's an amazing trilogy, you have to read it. And it's obviously, these books and these games and these video games and stuff, they mean things to people, mean different things to people, of course. But to just kind of dismiss it and go, oh, it's not canon, it doesn't matter, it doesn't exist, I feel like it's a bit of a mistake. I can understand from a commercial perspective why franchise owners might want to go, that's the main canon, because I think that they just want to keep things nice and tidy in order. And I think you said this, Captain Jack, I think it puts people off potentially. Newcomers might go, oh, I've got to watch this and I've got to read 19 books as well. But you don't have to. If you get sufficiently into something, read the books.
This is something I praise Star Wars for, and I think they've handled it really well. So the Star Wars, before the new movies and series, etc., had Legends, which is their auxiliary media, and a continuation. It was arguably a continuation of it. However, as I'm sure Dom will agree, as he's also a big fan of Star Wars, Legends was very, very convoluted and a bit of a mess, to be honest. Like, it was a wigwam of timelines, really, in trying to find anything. Yeah, that was the old, that was before Disney. Right, so Disney came along and they made the hard choice, and it was a hard one, and there's no right or wrong way of doing it. They said, right, all of that stuff, apart from the main movies and the Clone Wars and a few extra bits, no longer canon anymore. Still stories there, you can still buy it, we're still selling it, we're still like massively celebrating it, because why not? Authors still praise. How said, right, blank slate, we're starting canon. Since then, their new canon, all their books, etc., have been tie-in media, where it's like, Dom, give me an example. To the Star Wars Rebels series, to read about the two main characters, Kanan and Hera, you could go read the book about it, which is a prequel one, explains how they met. Lovely book. I think, did one of the Star Trek writers write it?
John Jackson Miller
wrote
that one, but the name is eluding me.
It's A New Dawn, that's what it is.
A New Dawn.
Yeah, so he wrote that. Fantastic Star Trek writers as well. He wrote The Enterprise War, which is a great book about Pike, etc., while he's off during Discoveries.
And then Die Standing recently, which was a book about Giorgio, and I think in August he comes out with a book about Rios from Star Trek Picard.
Yes, he does,
It should be good because his books are crafted meticulously.
So that's how sort of Disney have done it. So like all this is like extra books now is auxiliary media in a way, and you don't have to read it to understand the main product. You like the new series are coming out right now. There's going to be books, etc., accompanying the Mandalorian at some point, but you don't have to read them to understand the show. It's a bit like I guess it's like, I'm trying to think of an analogy, but it's like it's adding extra things to it. It's like condiments. You can add a bit of salt there, makes it a little bit better.
I think that's the one thing that I would say is an argument that always kind of does my head in when people will criticize something, maybe rightfully so, and then the response to that is, well, you should read the book because then that answers that question. It's like, no, you should be able to watch this stuff in isolation in the same way you should be able to read a book and appreciate that book in isolation. And like you said, salt and vinegar. I
prefer like auxiliary media to complement. It's a bit like adding something, you complement your meal with it, essentially, if you want another analogy. Stuff like that works really well, because that way, like, don't make me, if I want to get into something, don't make me bloody read 101 different things. It's like movies, when it's like, take Stargate as well, another example. Stargate had its big movie, but then when he launched SG-1, you didn't really have to watch a movie to understand it, because they kind of sort of rebooted it. Similar characters, different actors, and different way of doing things, but you didn't have to watch the movie. Oh, you can watch it for extra points if you want, but still.
For that reason, even though it's kind of unofficial. How Trek is currently doing that with the books is kind of answering your question. If we go to Discovery Season 2, when Spock was communicated with the Red Angel, that scene is fully explained in the books, but in the show, it's just, oh, he met with the Red Angel and communicated with it.
Yeah, a chat.
So you don't need to have read the book to understand that scene, but the book further complements it. So it's the complementary media which enhances the taste, which I think New Trek is doing well with this new series of books. However, what they haven't said is, oh yes, these books are canon. They've just been like, here's some books. They complement and tie into the new stuff.
Which is a good way of doing it. I feel like Trek is just walking a fine line currently, and this obviously comes down to the whole universe as well, of what is canon and what isn't canon. And I feel like we're getting closer and closer to them making a book. So see, recently Alex Kurtzman spoke with Deadline, I think it was, or he spoke with someone about it. No, Variety, that's what it was. And
Variety.
yeah, he basically said how the lines between movies and TV is sort of blurred now, like crossed over. So essentially, it doesn't really matter, you know, if it's a movie or if it's a TV show. It's all Star Trek's universe, essentially. So that's a good way of discussing things. It's like, hopefully, if they're doing it already, then the books might become part of it as well. It does feel like they're shaping the Star Trek universe where you've got all this media right now. If adding kid shows in and then adding toys and games, etc., it's all going to blend in very nicely to make it easy to view. Because I think Star Trek did have to do a little bit of a cleanup sometimes, because it was a bit, I wouldn't say a mess, because some people may get upset at me saying that, but some of the media could be a little bit difficult to understand, I feel, sometimes for people.
Yeah, and I just feel like, I mean, there are things that you could do. You could tie these things into like sagas and things like that to say kind of like, you know, if you're a new fan, watch this saga, read that saga, listen to that saga, play that saga. You know, kind of the organization of the universe is possible. And that might make things a little bit less kind of daunting and less kind of perceived messy. But, you know, it's very interesting to see kind of what Kurtzman, listen to what Kurtzman was saying with regards to the removal of the line, because, you know, I made a video where I was talking about the idea that we could be leading towards some big kind of crossover event, and I know we're going to get into that later on. And somebody in the comments very rightfully said, well, you know, back in the day, you would have the Star Trek TV shows, which would all cross over together, which was the original kind of MCU. And then you would have the movies, which would all exist in the same universe. It was all kind of same continuity. And Star Trek's very, you know, lucky in that respect that it's always just been one continuity, with the exception of the Kelvin universe. It's not like RoboCop, where it's being remade every week. That's a terrible example of that. But it's very interesting. Obviously, with the split, Viacom, CBS going separate ways, that kind of muddied the water. We do have the Kelvin universe. So I took his comments as meaning we are going to see some sort of rejoining of the Kelvin and the Prime timeline. But I'm conflicted, because I really like the idea that we have a Kelvin timeline over there. And the Prime timeline here. We can keep going with the Prime timeline, which is what they're doing, and every so often we can go into this Kelvin universe. It's got such a unique look. We immediately know what universe we're going to be in, and I really don't see any problem with just continuing to build that universe out. It's not hurting this Prime timeline. It's not doing anything to it, and this is something that I never really understood.
I think they are going to continue it. That's clear. What I think, like Kurtzman's comment was about, is like, it doesn't matter, like stories can take place anywhere in a sense, and it's like people can read into it whatever they want, and naturally it's cryptic anyway. But I think when it's like reunification, it's like it can cross over essentially. I mean, we even see it of Discovery. They sort of touched on it in an episode where we had Lieutenant Yor, who came over from the Kelvin timeline, died halfway, and basically Ko's like, look what I've got, you know, in his magic box over there. Star Trek Kovic, you know, the Temporal Wars. Oh, just give me a series on the Temporal Wars. Christ, you know. Have Scott back here launching it. You know, that's basically Quantum Leap at some point, but
yeah, that's an easy way to do a massive
Starship Quantum Leap
event by having the Temporal Wars, and you can look at all these different timelines and alternate timelines.
Why is it when you said timelines, I've just got data in my head going tiny little life forms, tiny little timelines,
you precious little timelines.
Yeah.
We're not even drunk. This is just how these episodes usually go.
Well, I am. Wait, what?
I want. You know, do you remember they started selling like Star Trek like themed like alcohol and wines before? You see that? Are they still? Have you not seen that? You have. You're lying.
This is dangerous.
There's a.
Oh, well, they selling the Chateau Picard for like $100.
There's Chateau Picard, but
they're selling like James T. Kirk.
Space.
There's James T. Kirk bourbon whiskey. There was 10 Forward vodka.
Oh. Yeah, the 10 Forward vodka actually gets sent into space and brought back.
Bollocks, does it?
It does. I believe. Don't quote me on that.
There's Montgomery Scott Scotch, which is a mouthful, literally.
Yeah.
Well, I've got the cocktails book. I went and bought the cocktails book. Eagle Moss produced a cocktails book, and I had a look at like the first couple of pages of recipes, and I was like, I'm gonna have to remortgage my house just to buy the main accoutrement to make each drink. But one day, maybe what we should do is we should do a Trek Central stream where we try making drinks. That might.
I can't wait to get told off by YouTube for doing that. Probably live on Twitch or something. We'd have to find somewhere where we can stream it or like show it essentially.
I'm sure we're only a few live streams away from the Twitch Trek Central hot tub party, right?
Well, yes, that is coming to our Trek Central OnlyFans as well soon. Subscribe, folk. We've got Sir Patrick Stewart on board as well because damn, what a man!
Oh my goodness! To
be fair, the 10 Forward vodka does look kind. I'd buy it just for the bottle, to be honest. However, I think it's like $1 million and a bit to even get it here. To be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the import tax. It kind of just makes
it.
If
they did a gin, I'd buy it because I quite like gin. A bit too much, some would say. Questionable. But they don't. What would you call a Star Trek gin? Dining's gin. There you go.
What would you?
Not an alcoholic, I swear.
That was quick.
It was. That was too quick. Gemini 5. No, I can come up with names for you. 10 Forward vodka is just like them snapping 10 Forward on it, you know.
I mean, you can add 10 Forward onto anything, really, couldn't you? You could 10 Forward socks. I'd buy those.
You quit. I was about, yeah. God's sakes. I'm surprised they've not done a Romulan ale yet. I thought they made one. I thought there was an actual Romulan ale made.
Oh, right. Okay. So yeah, I made a Romulan ale a few months ago, and I didn't make it using the full recipe. There's a recipe online which is dangerous, and it involves like using pure alcohol, like the 100% stuff. I was like, I'm not.
Is it meant to be as deadly as the drink? Is that?
It's brutal. But I made a Romulan ale using a shot of
Petrol.
the blue Curacao.
Luckily.
Yeah, that 2 shots of vodka, 2 shots of rum, a shot of tequila if you're
sounds like my
particularly
standard
spicy.
Rebs order, to be honest.
And then topped up with white Monster.
Oh, that's
I honestly took one sip and I thought I saw Q.
Why didn't you just drink petrol out of a car?
Oh, it was like being in Tapestry. I was like, whoa! It was good. Yeah.
I can see numbers.
It wasn't Simfahol. I woke up in a ditch.
And most nights go out in the UK, to be honest.
Yeah, it's the sign of a good night, isn't it? Sign of a good night.
Anyway, the Star Trek crossover event is going to contain copious amounts of alcohol, and we're now brought to you by, I don't know, Guinness.
I really thought that you were going to use that as the most impressive segue into the rest of our multiverse talk. But you kind of just went, no, we're just going to keep drinking.
Yeah. I want a drink, do I? No, I'm not that bad just yet. I have been begging people this week. Have you been out for a drink yet, Trek Lad? Because for those who don't know, restrictions are sort of lifted here in the UK. You can go out and have a drink. Have you been out for a drink yet?
Not yet.
Oh,
not yet. I've not been out for a haircut. I've not been out for a drink.
Have you been out of the house?
I don't usually leave the house. No, I'm just too busy watching Star Trek. No, I'm going out on Tuesday. We're going to go out on Tuesday. It's my father's birthday, so we're going to go out and have a couple of ales. Not Romulan. Definitely not Romulan after that.
Both end up in a ditch.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, I'm kind of... There's that trepidation, isn't there? I feel like Reg Barkley at the moment. Like, the fear of leaving your house.
Very much paranoia.
Yeah, I'm similar. I'm waiting for it's like the gym at the minute. I keep watching how many people are in it on the app. I'm like, as soon as it gets below 30, I'll go. I just don't have many people around. But literally, all the big crowds, it's like, I'm now like, go to get away. When we go out to events, we're stuffed.
Oh, I know, but it'll be worth it. And I feel like, you know, we're doing it in a safe way, and we're kind of, easing ourselves back into what life was like before, I do want to quickly just point out Seal 0626 with the Pangalactic Gargle Blaster comment in the chat. You are cool.
Dom, have you been out for a drink yet?
No.
You been out of the house yet?
No, as people are aware on this in the stream, I've been ill for.
Oh yeah, good point actually. Yeah.
So, I have not risked going outside, but soon maybe. We'll see when.
We tried going out for a drink on Friday in Bristol. It was busy completely everywhere. So we went back to mine and got pissed for cheaper, to be honest. 40% gin. It's really quick is all I'll say.
And then at home you can just watch Star Trek as well.
No, we didn't watch Star Trek.
That was what I was going to say. Who needs to go out when we've got Star Trek universe crossover stuff potentially happening, and we can get beer delivered?
That's true. God bless Uber Eats. This show is now brought to you by...
We're in the utopia. We get Uber Eats alcohol. It's amazing.
It's true, yeah. You can actually... There is another app where you can, like, order drinks on, like, tap and they'll deliver it to you. I'm not sure what app it is. I don't know what app it is, believe it or not, but...
This isn't water. This is straight vodka. Ooh.
Anyway, the Star Trek crossover multiverse sort of thing. This is something we've been discussing for a while now. Something you brought up as well. We have explored it here on the channel with our own dedicated video. So if you want to go watch that as well, be sure to. Zoom by writer Craig. JP. Go take a look at it. I've got Craig's email in front of me. Go take a look at that. We've explored multiverses and crossovers before. However, very recently there is more and more talk about Star Trek crossing over essentially. Sort of in a way, Discovery and Strange New Worlds have sort of crossed over because Strange New Worlds was spawned out of it. So there's been a crossover already. But years ago, you know, when Trek was on air in the DS9 and TNG days, we saw crossovers. Bashir appeared on Next Gen, Picard appeared on DS9, Riker crossed between all three because it's Riker and you're not going to say no to Jonathan Frakes. Hell, even Q crossed between them as well. And other characters were Rom crossed between DS9, Voyager, and also TNG as well. He was another character crossover. Then you got Worf and Miles O'Brien. I think, was it Miles O'Brien's got the most appearances in Star Trek altogether, I think. I think he's the character of those. Closely followed by Worf and I think someone else, which is amazing. If we get Miles O'Brien like a new Trek, that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we already had the non-speaking cameo at the end of Lower Decks, you know, the most important man in Starfleet history. But yeah, I like the idea of crossovers. The one thing that I've always kind of said is I like to see crossovers done sparingly. So I really liked Bashir's appearance in, was it Birthright Part 1?
Birthright.
Yeah, really good, really well done though, and it just felt really natural. It never felt like I'm Bashir from the ongoing new series Deep Space Nine, and it just felt really natural. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, and this is a thing that we've always said, is that, you know, Star Trek for a giant universe sometimes feels very, very small. So sometimes you don't want people popping up all the time. You do want to kind of play into the vastness of space. And, you know, how often some of these people really, you know, how often would Picard run into Tomalak, for example?
Yeah.
But, you know, it's still fun. It's still cool. At the end of the day, it's a TV show and it's a bunch of movies. But I think that they've got a tremendous opportunity with all of these productions at the moment to, if not to have them appear on screen, but to reference some of the things that are happening. You know, Lower Decks has a massive advantage there in that the writers love referencing Star Trek. So you could sneak in some Burnham stuff in. They, you know, you could have Mariner say, "Yeah, well, that reminds me of the time that Burnham did that," and Boimler would be like, "Who? No, we can't talk about her." And it's like, I don't care, something like that. But then to lead to this whole kind of, you know, you and I, Jack, we've spoken about it a bunch of times, this idea that we lead to some sort of end game-esque Star Trek moment. I know it divides us. Some people don't want to see it. A lot of people do want to see it. I really want to see it. I know that you want to see it. But this idea that there's like, you know, if you think about the event that we saw in All Good Things, for example, something that threatened existence itself, not just for humanity, but for everyone in the universe. And that would just naturally bring together people from not just the same universe, but different times and different universes and stuff like that. You know, you can do it because all things are possible in the Star Trek universe. And with all of the stuff that's happening right now, with all of these movies that are happening, we are getting 2 movies until somebody says otherwise. We're getting 2 movies. This is all entirely possible. Why wouldn't you do it? It's got money written all over it.
I totally agree. I think this style of a crossover thing is what brands, MCU sort of set the foundation and how it should be done in a sense, and other brands copying it. It's very evident Star Wars are doing it. Anyone can say otherwise. They're definitely doing some crossover. It even says in the official description, the new shows they announced. I was writing a video to say Star Wars Rangers of the New Rangers of the New Republic, The Mandalorian, and Ahsoka are all going to culminate in a sort of like cinematic event, which is a crossover event. It's going to be Grand Admiral 4, and I'm telling you now, if it isn't, I'll buy it. It's going to be 4, all I'm saying. But so these things, the foundation's been set for this. It makes sense Star Trek are going to do it, copy it. And it makes sense other things are going to do it as well. I'm telling you, it's going to happen.
I don't think it's necessarily copying, though, because I think it's something that all IPs have wanted to do for forever.
They have sort of done it before, in a way.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I mean, if you do have a sprawling universe that has multiple properties inside the franchise umbrella, then, why wouldn't you do it? And it's...
Oh, I'm not going to complain if, like, the copying thing, it's like, I'm not going to, how dare they? It's more or less like, wow, okay, cool, more content. If we're getting more Trek content and our favourite characters in it, who cares?
I feel like what Marvel did, though, is they showed everybody else that this is indeed possible. Yeah. And what you can have is let's say, 5 films that would be essentially completely separate from each other, with the exception of an end credits or a post-credit scene or a small reference or an Easter egg. But if you didn't notice those, you wouldn't even know the films existed in the same universe. And then they all just kind of converge and they come together, and then they go their own separate ways and they come back together again. And Marvel didn't come up with this idea, but they perfected it and distilled it and essentially laid out a blueprint. And as we've seen with Universal's Dark Universe and other, Monsterverse has struggled, it is hard to do this. But I feel if Star Trek, if Viacom CBS were deadly serious about it and they have the right people and they're willing to try it, I feel like Star Trek is the perfect universe to replicate this blueprint.
And someone, Donnie just pointed out in the chat as well, Doctor Who and Power Rangers did a crossover as well. I think one of the big Doctor Who episodes, if I remember off the top of my head, it's been so many years, was Journey's End with David Tennant, where like Captain Jack, Sarah Jane, Jackie Tyler, Rose, etc., Martha, Donna, all of these people, K9,
and that was the culmination of...
That was before the MCU as well.
That was 3 different TV shows.
Yeah. Well, and also
into the main series.
Yeah,
and this crossover event.
It was 3 seasons of 3 shows, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you had Torchwood, which was very much an adults show.
Really?
Sarah Jane Adventures, which was for pure kids, and Doctor Who being the OG, and they were all converging, and you can do it. You can completely do it. It's totally possible. So, I mean, that makes me feel better knowing that, remembering that, because now we can have Deadpool in the MCU, and it shouldn't cause any problems at all.
I don't know. Someone on the internet said no.
No.
I've never watched Power Rangers, though. Do they do a crossover? That's not really something I ever watch.
You never watched Power Rangers?
I've watched it once or twice. Dom, have you ever watched Babylon 5?
No.
Yeah, I haven't either. I can feel better now.
Oh.
Dom, have you watched Battlestar Galactica?
No, I haven't.
Bitch.
No.
Dom, have you watched Stargate?
No, I haven't.
What the hell are you doing, Randy? Honestly.
I watched the movie.
That doesn't count. Which
okay.
one? Stargate or Stargate: The Arc of Truth and Continuum?
Stargate. I didn't pay enough attention.
Did it contain a nuke?
I didn't pay enough
Did it contain a pyramid?
I didn't pay enough attention.
Did it contain a Stargate?
Maybe.
Here's the thing, though. Like, I'm just as bad as others, and I'll freely admit it. I spend so much time watching Star Trek that I have neglected other things. Like, I swear the only shows that I've ever watched have been Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, and Quantum Leap. Like, that's it. So I'm currently every so often watching an episode of Stargate, because I've never watched Stargate SG-1 all the way through. I've watched 3 episodes in my entire life. I love the movie, though. I really like the 1994 movie, so that kind of always had me kind of going, do I want to watch all this stuff? Battlestar Galactica, for me, and this was probably going to really wind up some people in the chat. I'm not doing this intentionally.
You say you preferred the original to the remaster?
No, no, the original sucks.
I won't go that far.
Compared to the reimagined.
There is a great scene in the original, because the humor was more there in the original one, like just the funny goofiness. Like, it was I think when he had Bolt's like, burn Galactica, burn, and the Centurion's like, sir, what about the other Battlestar? He's like, should I be bumbling for? No, sir, you should really look at the other Battlestar. It's like Pegasus coming out of nowhere.
I just think that stuff's just corny. But no, the reimagined Battlestar Galactica for me is probably the greatest. I mean, it tails off. The ending isn't that strong. I think season 1, 2, and the first 5 episodes of season 3, including the miniseries, I think that's the best science fiction ever put to TV.
And Bear McCreary as well for like bringing. Ronald D. Moore was the person who created the reimagined series, along with a few other people, really talented people as well. Obviously, Ronald D. Moore famously did a lot of DS9 as well. He's well known for that. Have you seen his new series For All Mankind, by the way, which is on Apple?
I have not.
I haven't yet. I've seen clips of it on YouTube, and it actually looks really interesting, to be honest. It's like an alternate thing of what if the Russians landed on the moon first, before America, and it's like For All Mankind. It's really interesting. They've got the guy from the first Suicide Squad who played, I think it's Joel Kinnaman. He played Rick Flag in the first Suicide Squad movie. He's actually a really good actor in this one. It's like I really want to watch it at some point. But yeah, it looks really cool. See, Ronald D. Moore is a fantastic showrunner and producer as well. I hope he's somewhat involved in the new Battlestar, even if it's just like an advisor role, because I hope they're not doing away with it completely.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I don't know what to make of the rumors, because apparently they're saying that the new show exists within the continuity of the Ronald D. Moore. That doesn't make sense, and I really don't think that's actually...
the way they're going to do it is it's going to be somewhere... I think it might be in the first Cylon War, in a sense. So, but obviously, what's weird of that is in the Ronald D. Moore continuity, the first Cylon War is sort of seen as a precursor show. So, I don't know. If they do it in the first Cylon War, I'd be fine with that, but it's like... whether they could tell an authentic story through that. I'm keen to see it because, hey, it's more sci-fi, more stuff for us to watch. So,
see, the thing is, I'm kind of more coming around to the idea that I would like to see Sam Ismail put his own stamp on the classic story, because for me, there's a big difference between Battlestar Galactica and Star Trek. Star Trek is this sprawling universe where you can tell whatever story you want. Battlestar Galactica,
self-contained. It's a bit like Stargate in a way, whereas unless you really... Atlantis pulled it off where you went to a whole different galaxy with a different team, and then Destiny, etc. But it's very hard, because it's not like Star Trek or Star Wars. It's very hard to do unique stories sometimes.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm still working my way through Stargate, so I've got a long way to go.
What episode you on?
That was season 1, episode 4.
Try Atlantis. You might like that one.
Well, I'll get there. I'll get there when I get there. But you know, for me, Battlestar Galactica, it has a definitive start, middle, and end.
Yeah.
And I don't really have much interest in the first Cylon War. We saw them in the Razor flashbacks. We've seen them in Caprica. Well, not really in Caprica, but we saw the prelude to that.
I never watched Caprica. Was that any good?
Underrated.
I need to give it a watch sometime.
Very different though, and very kind of soap opera-y, and it did things that didn't quite work, and it did some things that were amazing, and I think it was cut a little bit too early. I would have loved to have seen the second season and then made a decision whether it should have been canned or not. But yeah, I think that we've seen all we need to see in the Ronald D. Moore, and I'm of the opinion that it's probably still, I mean, because I really hold the reimagined up so high. I think it's one of the best things ever made, and I feel like to go and remake it, you know, only a few years after it finished, I don't know. But Mr. Robot, again, I've not seen it. I hear some amazing things about it, and Ismail's supposed to be an amazing creator. Let him put his own stamp on, because reimagined Battlestar Galactica was very set, you know, post 9/11, very influenced by all that kind of stuff. We're in a bit of a different age now. It's you know, technology is scary in a different way. Let's see what he does.
All of this has happened before. Will happen again.
Yeah, and you know, you can tie the various iterations of Battlestar Galactica together with that notion of all of this has happened before and it will all happen again. But to me, you know, when my dad introduced me to Battlestar Galactica, for him, Starbuck was a dude, and you know, Adama was the guy with the white hair.
I was reading the backlash over that, like when they made Starbuck a woman. Like I remember I was just reading about, you know, the old times news, etc. The backlash of that was insane, and like people were hating it. And it's like Katie Sackhoff, fantastic actress who pulled off like Starbuck really well, and actually in The Mandalorian as well.
She's better. Starbuck. She was better. Multi-layered.
Obviously, Richard Hatch, you know, rest in peace, did also a good Tom Zarek as well. He pulled off that character really well.
He's amazing, and I really would have loved to have seen the second coming of Battlestar Galactica. He was going to make his own vanity project Battlestar Galactica movie, and he made a trailer for it, and it's amazing. And yeah, it's a shame that never happened. But I love the fact that they made a role for it, because he actually really opposed the reimagining. Probably because he wanted to make his own film. But I love the fact that they made a role for him, and such a layered character. Do you know what? Do you know what we need to do, Captain Jack? We need to create Battlestar Galactica Central. I know you've got 1,000 channels, but you need 1,001.
Let me just go put some vodka in his drink and I'll be right back. We've been playing with the idea. However, I think, like, and a little insight into YouTube here, and I'm sure some Bright Spark will try and correct me on this one. It depends, like, when the series is coming along and if there's enough medium for time being to actually commentate on, you know, Battlestar for time being, essentially. So you can lay the foundations, but it's like, if it's going to draw in the views in a way, because like you can, it's just a hard one to commit to. I'm sure we'll, when we get around to, like, you know, the actually announcement is coming out, because at the minute it's still very in development. We don't even know if it's not even in production yet. It's still active development. So
yeah. I mean, and you know, I made a video about it. I feel like there's been a lot of productions about Star Galactica that kind of come and gone and not.
Yeah, it's a bit like Star Trek in a way.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. I think people kind of interpreted me making a video, is it doomed to fail? Look, I didn't want to see it happen. They couldn't be further away from the truth. You know, but the thing is, I do feel like you don't necessarily need a channel for all of these different shows, because, you know, people at Trek Central are going to watch any sci-fi just looking at the chat. But it'll be interesting to see where they take it, but preferably not in the Ronald D. Moore universe. But hey, what do you guys reckon about this? I know it's not going to actually happen, guys, in the chat. I know it's not going to happen, but can you imagine if we had a Battlestar Galactica Star Trek crossover? What would that look like?
Back in toasters.
I beg your pardon.
Is the stream still about Star Trek? Yes, we're just having a chat. It's nice sometimes just to have a chat for a change.
Is this stream about Star Trek? Why?
In fact, I don't have much Star Trek stuff behind me. Like, the Star Trek shelf is this one here. However, it's slightly out of shot. But in this Star Trek shelf, there's a ton of models. There's the NX-01 refit, God tier ship, by the way. We've also got the Dark Veil and some Star Trek comics behind it. And the Enterprise one, also the Enterprise F. This shelf is the Thorn Shrine. This shelf is the YouTube plaque. And that's a clone trooper helmet. There's also a holocron down here, a Lego set over there, and some shit in that one.
Right, I need to ask you guys a question though, right? Because we always talk about this, right? I got a video dropping tomorrow. Plug ranking every Enterprise. Not every Enterprise, but most of them.
He's left out of the Enterprise F. You heard it here first.
It might be in there. It might be in there, right?
It's not.
Let's say, where would you put, realistically, where would you put the Odyssey Enterprise F in the ranking of the greatest enterprises of all time?
I'm going to exclude the J just because I don't think we've spent enough time with that. Just out of the, I'm not a massive fan of it.
Corridor scene.
Yeah, it's like we do shit. I'd say Enterprise. I'm going to be honest. I really like the Enterprise E. I like that sleek design. That would probably have to be the top Enterprise for me. There goes all our viewers. Then I think, I'm going to be honest. I think Enterprise D would probably be next. Then it might be F as well. I really like the F's design.
You do? You like the Odyssey?
I knew that. But also, I like, if we're talking about original Enterprise, I like Pike's Enterprise specifically. His design we see in Discovery. I like that modernization of it in a way. I quite like it with the sort of like slits in the cells and stuff like that. I like it. We've also obviously got the NX as well. I think that's also a god tier ship where it is.
Underrated design.
I'm going to be the Enterprise B and C. I've not spent enough time with them. They don't really do much for me. Obviously, you can't tell us as you're going to show your video off, but Don, what's your god tier Enterprise?
Well, I'm going to put F at the top.
Oh, okay, all right. You're brave enough to do that, all right.
Okay, F will be second.
Oh no, he's changed it. No, you changed it now.
The XCF 330.
Oh, he's gone for the hipster. We can't see his face, but we know he's got some thick rimmed glasses on right now.
He's smart. He's got the COVID glasses on.
Yeah, I just want to say that because I actually do really like that. Just because of my headcanon of how like it's designed. But I guess then it would be Sovereign, Pike's Enterprise, Refit Enterprise, and then D, B, and C. I do not like the C. It's my least favorite.
But he likes the D though.
Class. I like. let's not.
You almost said it.
Compared to
You did say it, Dom.
One of the last streams.
Got him.
But, yeah, the ambassador class looks too clunky.
Yeah.
For me.
They had to wind back for D, so they just made it a bit more like odd.
Yeah.
There are things that I do like about the C though, in that it does incorporate a number of elements, and I didn't include it in the video, but I didn't realize that the neck actually has like the kind of ribbed the neck of the Excelsior model. I never noticed that because I mean the model was always lit so dark, but when I saw that I was like, whoa. So it does call back to a number of different design principles, and I do like that it is kind of the missing link between the A and the B, and what we've seen in TNG. So there is that, but yeah, I think I describe it in the video as being a bit of a dumpling. It's a bit stumpy. It's a bit stumpy.
Definitely.
It's weird. It's a bit short.
Yeah, you can barely. I'm just looking at the old images of the C right now. You can barely see the neck in any of the lighting shots. It's so dark. I think it's intentionally done as well. It certainly is almost like a kit bash in a way. And the Enterprise D Dreadnought refit, that's technically not canon to an extent, but honestly, I think we discussed this last week. I fly the Enterprise D refit of a Galaxy class Dreadnought in Star Trek Online, and I love that shit because it's like spinal laser, man.
It's just edgy.
It's the edgy kid.
Like Warship Voyager, how it just like added a bunch of guns to it. I can see what they were going for. It's cool, but it is just edgy.
Tell you what I've seen, it's really nice. Obviously, we see the Enterprise and Enterprise A in the Kelvin timeline, which look beautiful. The Enterprise B in the Kelvin timeline, now that would be really nice. And there has been like some concept art of it online of what it would look like. I'm looking at some now. Honestly, I would love to see the USS Excelsior or the Excelsior type in the Kelvin timeline, because that probably would look beautiful.
Miranda class artwork in the Kelvin universe, and it does look beautiful. So I do hope we do get more.
We're getting a new Miranda class in Lower Decks soon, which is going to be cool.
The Macduff.
What a ship!
What an Easter egg. Yeah,
the like TNG style nacelles, which it looks really nice.
We had a quick donation from Sean Casey. He says, "Evening all. What's the point of watching any of this when we know it will all come on YouTube? It will be wiped out by a temper tantrum. They need to retcon pronto." I have no idea what you mean by wiping out anything. I'm lost.
Well, I think it's about Discovery Season 3, and I'll just say, what's the point in anything? The heat death of the universe is imminent.
Thanks, Dom. My depression has just gotten worse.
And
my existential crisis.
What's the point of going to work tomorrow?
It doesn't destroy everything. But it is the destination, not the journey.
Have you taken that from a Thrawn quote? I swear you have.
It's just a generic quote.
It's from that Military Minds video, I'm telling you.
Maybe, who knows?
I'm gonna chuck a quick a Photoshop analogy in, right? For up until about 6 months ago, whenever I'd create something in Photoshop, I would essentially modify the layer. I would erase pixels on a layer without understanding the layer mask, right? This is going somewhere.
Oh my god.
I know. The thing is, you can create new universes, new elements of franchises without actually destroying what already exists. We've seen that with the Kelvin universe. That's a layer mask. You can just do whatever you want on it, and then you can disable it, and then you've still got all that wonderful, juicy, brilliant pixel stuff there. You know, the wonderful thing these days is it's not just black and white. We can create whatever we want. We can put it in its own bubble universe. We can diverge on paths. Nothing needs to be destroyed. Everything can be sacred. And that's something that I wish everybody kind of truly understood, that yeah, we might get another Battlestar Galactica, and there are going to be some people that hate that idea. We could just watch that one if we want. It's not going to disappear because this one exists. And the same with Star Trek. You know, more Star Trek, please.
Tie it all together. Wow.
Exactly.
It's literally the best analogy like we could come up with. We're really on point of these tonight, you know.
Took 62 minutes. We got there.
Well done, everyone. Case closed. Speaking of which, we're going to wrap up here. We have discussed like everything today in terms of Star Trek universe, etc. We have touched on the crossover idea in a dedicated video here on the channel. So if you do want to go and listen to some more cohesive thoughts where we're not chatting about alcohol and random stuff for halfway through, go and watch that, as it would be a pleasure to see it as well. Don't forget, you can of course head over to Treks.net. We have covered a recent interview of Alex Kurtzman where he discussed the ever merging lines of TV and the Star Trek universe in general. It is a good read. Obviously, it comes from Variety to start off with, and of course we've got the latest news as well. Not long now until new Star Trek is on our screens. We've also got a couple of new books out very soon, I think. I think it's one out in May, isn't it, Dom?
Yeah, I believe so.
Just chucking the notes around trying to find. We'll probably do like a book stream as well. In regards to a couple of future streams, we may be here next week or may not be here next week. Check for announcements at midweek, because we'll be taking 1 week off soon for a bit of a break, as Jack could be rammed with Star Wars stuff for a week. Maybe check that host it. We'll see where we're going at that point. But yeah, Jack, when is Paramount Plus in the UK? Thank you, chat, Hammond. We don't know when Paramount Plus is doing its international rollout just yet. We know it's rolled out to a select few Southern American countries, I believe. However, in terms of a great international rollout, no word just yet. I have a feeling we'll see it in different queues, so probably in Q3 and Q4, and then probably next year I think we'll see more. If I'm going to be completely honest, I don't think we'll see a UK rollout until 2022, as I personally think that Strange New Worlds is going to be a flagship series to launch Paramount Plus around the world. Similar to how The Mandalorian was the flagship to launch Disney Plus in America, we're going to see Strange New Worlds being the flagship to launch Paramount Plus. Same way Discovery also was the flagship to launch CBS All Access.
And also we know that Lower Decks will be coming to Amazon Prime in the UK. So
we don't know a date for that yet. So it's going to be coming. Yeah, it's coming to Amazon Prime. They released a trailer on their YouTube channel. We don't know a date because they just said it would be coming later this year. So it's like, well, are you arriving on August 12th or are you arriving on December 12th? Please, CBS, tell us.
So if anything, that just means we won't get Paramount Plus by August 12th.
Yeah, I definitely think that. It also means like where Prodigy will air, that is also up in the air currently. I think, if I'm going to be honest with you, international watching of Prodigy will likely take place when it goes to syndication on normal networks, i.e. Nickelodeon on the TV, essentially. But it's going to be on Paramount Plus first. So yeah.
It's a mess. It's a mess.
All I'll say, and this is not any advice whatsoever, God bless VPNs, leave that up to yourself. It's a perfectly legit thing. Go for it. I mean, it's what it's there for. They know, like, people know, like, CBS know people using VPNs, etc. Disney knew they were using it. I mean, it just shows them how much, money they're getting anyway, because people still have to pay for the subscriptions. Who cares,
It's kind of weird that people are still like, VPN, that's dodgy. You can't be doing it. It's not dodgy at all. I mean,
I use a VPN when I use my laptop out and about, whether you're on a train or public transport in an airport. I'll always use a VPN because public Wi-Fi networks is basically like putting your hand in dirty water. You're gonna catch something.
We need to get a VPN sponsor on the channel.
Trek Central Weekly is now brought to you by NordVPN. I'll email them. When we get to like more episodes and stuff, like when we're covering Prodigy and Discovery essentially, and like more people are turning out to the shows, then we can do it.
NordVPN sponsoring reviews of episodes.
I probably, honestly, I've seen it done before. They sponsored Mandalorian stuff for someone else in the UK, like when that came out. So we'll do it.
Yeah, it can happen.
If not, this episode will be brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends. Alright everyone, we're going to wrap up Trek Central Weekly for this week. Don't forget you can catch this episode in audio format as well on all good audio platforms such as Spotify podcasts, Apple Music.
Good luck editing that one.
What's the other one? Yeah, you can catch on audio things. I've forgotten all of them. You go to trekcentral.com/tcweekly or tc-weekly. I've forgotten the domain as well. It's been a long week, right? It's been a long I need a drink. But go watch that, essentially. We'll be back next week with more Star Trek related news whenever it comes out, essentially. We'll go from there. For now, I've been Captain Jack, joined by Trek Lad and Dom. Do say goodbye.
Au revoir.
Oh, French. Dom, do we get a goodbye from you?
Goodbye.
I don't
say that.
Sounds like I'm holding you at gunpoint. Say goodbye.
Maybe you are. I'm just off camera from Jack right now. Help, please. No.
Alright, thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you soon. Have a good week.